I watched my wife Nina take her last breath, and then there wasn't another one. A minute went by, then another. And in that silence, something happened that I was completely unprepared for. My mind just went blank. It turned to mush. I could not think. I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. And I looked up, and my daughter and my granddaughter were standing right there with me, two capable, intelligent women. And I could see the exact same thing on their faces, the same question. What do we do now? Three grown-up adults in that room, and not one of us knew the next thing to do. Now here's what makes that so hard for me to admit. Of all the people on this earth, I should have been ready for that moment. Let me tell you why. My name is Roland, and if you've lost your spouse, you've heard people say it. Be prepared. Get your affairs in order. Make your arrangements ahead of time. That is good advice, and I'm going to give you some of it myself today. But I have to be honest with you, I did all of that. I was about as prepared as a human being can be, and nothing prepared me for actually losing her. There were two things I never saw coming. Let me walk you through both, so that maybe you can be just a little more ready than I was. First, you have to understand why I was so sure I was prepared. Back in 2001, our son was killed in an automobile accident. And in the middle of that unthinkable grief, Nina and I were hit with a wall of decisions that all had to be made right now. Find a mortuary, buy a cemetery plot, arrange a funeral, make the legal notifications, on and on, when we could barely stand. Somehow we got through it. And afterward, Nina and I promised each other something. We would never put our own children through that maze. We'd take care of it ourselves ahead of time. So we did. I bought 2 burial plots. We chose our caskets. We set a budget. I bought insurance policies that would pay for all of it. I put every bit of it in the safe. I remember thinking, I'll probably go first, and when I do, Nina will be well taken care of. But then I didn't go first. Now, those preparations we made were a tremendous help. I want to be clear about that. Please make them. But here's the first thing I wasn't ready for. 25 years had gone by, and in 25 years, the world changes. Laws change. The procedures for declaring death, for death certificates, for what a mortuary is even permitted to do. All of it had changed since we made our plans. Let me give you just one example. When we made our arrangements, the mortuary and the cemetery were the same thing. One business, one phone call. By the time Nina passed, they had become 2 completely separate companies. And that caused a real problem. We wanted her funeral on a Saturday afternoon, but the cemetery couldn't do the burial then. They were already booked full. And on top of that, a burial on a Saturday came with a significant extra charge, $800. Something I never could have planned for 25 years ago. So here's my first takeaway for you. Do make your arrangements and do pay for them in advance. Choose a mortuary, sit down with the funeral director, and walk through every decision now, while there's no pressure, no clock ticking, and you have time to weigh your options. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give the people you love. But then don't just lock it in the safe and forget about it like I did. Go back, sit down with your funeral director every year or 2. Review the file. Update the plans. Make sure your wishes still match how things are actually done today. And here's something worth knowing. Those plans and insurance policies are transferable. If you ever need to move them to a different mortuary, you can. And the funeral homes will work with each other to make it happen. I actually learned that from a moment of unexpected kindness. I have an acquaintance in our town who's a funeral director. The very afternoon Nina passed, he called, just to ask if he could help. And he did. He answered questions I didn't even know how to ask. How does Social Security get notified? What state agencies need to know? And he's the one who told me the arrangements could be transferred. People will show up for you in this. Let them. But the plans and the paperwork, that was only the first thing. The second thing nobody prepared me for was that moment I described at the very beginning, when Nina took her last breath and my mind simply stopped working. Here's the truth of it. Even with everything paid for and planned, in that moment I did not know the very next step. Who do I call? The hospice nurse would have known exactly what to do, but she wasn't there, and she wouldn't be for another 3 hours. And standing there, I realized I didn't even have her phone number. So let me try to spare you that. This is my second takeaway, and if you do nothing else, do this. Make a list. Make a list of people and how to reach them. Keep it somewhere everyone can find. Your list needs 3 things. 1, who do you call to declare the death? For us, at home, it was the hospice nurse. If you're in a hospital, it will most likely be the charge nurse. Know exactly how to reach that person. And by the way, you don't call 911. 2, who collects the body? For us, that meant calling the mortuary, their regular number or their after-hours number. If you're in a hospital, they'll make the call for you once you tell them which mortuary you've chosen and give them the contact information. 3, who needs to know immediately? Your closest family, your clergy, if you have them, your dearest friends. Write those names and numbers down. And review that list once a year because things do change. None of that is complicated, but at 6:34 in the morning, with your whole world suddenly gone quiet, you will not be able to summon a single piece of it. So do it now while you can. Here's the honest truth. I had done this before. I had planned everything, paid for everything, locked it all in the safe. I was the most prepared man you could imagine, and nothing prepared me. If that's you, if you did everything right and still felt completely lost in that moment, I need you to hear me. That is not a failure. That is just what you losing the love of your life does. It brings even the most prepared person to their knees. But here's the gift hidden in all of this. The little bit of planning you do today, the arrangements, the list of names and numbers, it isn't really for you. It's a final act of love for the people who will be standing in that room, unable to think, on the worst morning of their lives. You can lift a little of that weight off them. I wished I'd lifted more off mine. I've put together a simple checklist of everything I just talked about. The arrangements to review and the list to make. It's yours, free, in the description below. Please go get it and fill it out. Don't wait 25 years like I almost did. If this was helpful, subscribe and walk this road with me. In my next video, I'll share 5 things I had to stop doing after Nina died. Small habits that were quietly keeping me stuck. You are not as alone as it feels. I'm Roland. I'll see you in the next one.